Hello, welcome to ANS Solver. This is the fourth question of the paper. So, a train company claims that 92% of the trains on a particular line arrive on time. Now, the rival claim of Sanjeev, he suspects that this is less than 92%. He chooses a random sample of 20 trains, which is basically my n, on this line and finds exactly 16 of them that arrive on time, making an assumption that should be stated test at 5% significance level that Sandeep's suspicion is justified. So see, the first thing you need to do is you need to state the assumption. So the assumption is basically the train's arrival time should be independent of each other. Because if they're dependent, then we might not get a fair result. Basic theory question. Now let's start on testing. I take my null hypothesis as basically the probability equals to, because that's what my first claim is, that's 0.92. Now my alternative or my rival claim is that my probability is less than 0.92. Correct? So now what I simply do is, I told you all the trick. It's something like this with x. I know my test value is 16. This is basically my test value. This is n. Correct? So I get 16 here. The sign will basically be less than, the same, but there will be an equal to. Correct? So now what we basically need to do is, we need the probability of x less than equal to 16. So that can be written as 1 minus the probability of x equals to 17 plus probability of x equals to 18 plus the probability of x equals to 19 plus the probability of x equals to 20. So now I know my binomial formula is simply NCR into the probability raised to R into 1 minus P raised to N minus R. So I can simply use this as 1 minus, I know my N is simply 20, correct? So it's 20C17 into 0.92 raised to 17 into 0.08 raised to n minus r, which is 3, plus 20c18 into 0.92 into 18 into 0.08, 20 minus 18, which is 2. Plus 20c17, sorry, not 20c17, 20c19, sorry, into 0.92 raised to 19 into 0.08 raised to 1 plus 20c20 into 0.92 raised to 20 minus 20, which I know is 0, into 0.08, sorry, it's not 0, this should basically be raised to 20 into 0.08 raised to 0. Now writing everything on the calc is a big task. So keep the 1 minus aside for some time. Only think about this full summation. What you can simply do is, you can use the calc. So on the calculator, what you can simply do is click on shift and click on log, which is written something like this. So when you do that, you get something like the summation sign, correct, with a bracket. Now what you basically need to do here is, if you see, you are calculating basically the summation from 17 to 20. So I can write 17 here and I can write 20 here. And here I can simply write NCR, which is basically 20C x into 0.92 raised to x into 1 minus 0.92 raised to So I'll just remove this. Raised to 20 minus x. I can write this, okay? So now write exactly this. To write x, simply click on alpha and the closing bracket button, okay? And x will take all the values from 17 to 20 inclusive. So 20c x into 0.92 raised to x into 1 minus 0.92 raised to 20 minus x, okay, from basically 17 to 20. So when I do that and I click on equal to, I get my answer as 0.92938. But now there's a 1 minus. So I can simply write this as 1 minus 0.92938, where I'll get my answer basically as 0.0706. Now I need to test this. So I'll test this with a 5% significance level. 5% basically means 0.05. Now if you see, if you compare them, 0.706 is more. That means do not reject your null hypothesis, and you can simply say no evidence, okay, no evidence of, the time being less than, or the true percentage is less than, no evidence of arrival time being less at 5% significance level. Basically, you reject Sanjeev's claim and you accept the original claim.